Hi guys, Vic here. I'm back and welcome to my channel in this series called Honest Talk, when I'm talking about and reviewing games that I've already did a how to play video of on my channel, and games that I usually also played for many times right now, solo and multiplayer, and I'm giving an honest, subjective opinion talking about what I liked and I didn't like about the game, and, well, hoping that it will help you get informed or maybe decide whether you need this game on your shelf or not. And today, it's time for Turing Machine, a game for, well, the box says 1 to 4 players, but whether that's true, we'll get to that in a moment. And before I start talking about the good and the bad, I would like to remind you how you can help my channel here, Lone Vic, grow on YouTube. There's the like button under the videos that you can click, there's the subscribe button below the videos which you can click as well, and the notification bell which you can ring in order to be notified about new videos on my channel, which are coming, well, fairly regularly by now. And in the description to the video, there's also a link if you feel like you want to buy me a cup of coffee. And right now, let's head on to talking about Turing Machine, and we will start this honest talk with the good, and then we will go to the not so good with Turing Machine, and then a little short summary in the end. So let's dive in. Okay guys, so the good. Turing Machine is definitely a brain burner. Now, I don't have a lot of games from this category of logical games. I like playing those, but, well, there aren't a lot of them available in the market that are really good, and the ones that are either very abstract and they have completely no theme whatsoever to them, or the other ones are really scarce. My favorite, closest to my heart up until now, was The Search for Planet X, which, if you've played it and if you know it, well, you know what I'm talking about. If you didn't, it's a great game, and get interested in this and take a look. There is also a video on my channel on how to play Search for Planet X and a review of this game as well. But now, Turing Machine is storming to be my #1 logic game or logic puzzle that I have on my shelf. And there are a lot of things that are causing this. #1, this is a very fast game. Whether you're playing solo, whether you're playing with a few friends, it takes you maximum 45 minutes. And I'm including setup with this as well. Because, well, when it comes to the setup, and that's another plus, basically as well, very quick setup, you've got your main board. If you can believe this is the main board, basically. You've got a pad for note-taking, which you will give to each player. You've got the player screens behind which players hide their information. You've got those punch cards to set up in this tray that's provided with the box, and look how nifty it is, like organizing the 1s, the 2s, the 3s, the 4s, and the 5s. And then you've got 2 decks of cards which are numbered, and depending on the mode you play and depending on where you're taking your information from, you're either taking the setup instructions, which numbers of cards to put in from this validator deck and from this answer decks, either from the rulebook or from the web page, turingmachine.info, where you've got all the games prepared and ready to go. So it really, really is a quick setup and a quick teardown in this game. And the gameplay itself is pretty fast. Well, aside for the time that all the players need for thinking and processing the information that they gather each turn in order to arrive at the correct answer in the end, the whole game turn is simultaneous. Everybody's doing something at the same time, and usually everybody's thinking at the same time. So the only downtime sometimes might be because somebody's not thinking anymore and they've got already their next move prepared, and they have to wait for the other people to finish processing and taking notes and thinking and, you know, figuring out stuff. So that's the only downtime you really have. But if you think that this might be a problem, you can always use a chess clock or something to, you know, to give people time each round for thinking, and that's it. So you've got only like 3 minutes or what. But so not an issue at this point. Right? Now, the second the third right now, because setup and the game time, those are two. The third thing that's very good about this game, in my opinion, is how many different combinations you can get from this game. Somewhere in the rulebook or somewhere on the web page of this game, I've read that there are around 7 million combinations possible over here, that you've got around 7 million of those puzzles. I don't know how true is that. I didn't do the math myself, but looking at the possibilities that we've already went through right now, solo and multiplayer, I really can believe that. Or that at least it's in the ballpark. So it's definitely not going to, run out of combinations for you to guess anytime soon. And I forgot to mention, to be honest, this is a game about deciphering codes. So basically the computer, which the game is, has a code, a 3-digit code consisting of numbers 1 through 5. So for example, 534, that might be the code. So over the course of the turn, each player asks 3 questions to the computer, and then you get some kind of answers, and those are basically kind of true and false answers, but based on those verifiers that you have over here in this deck, and there are 48 of them, and a maximum of 6 per game you can use. And those verifiers might be very different. Like for example, the middle number is either equal, greater, or less than 4. Right? And if you ask a question, then you will know whether your presumption is correct or not, but you won't get that specific information. So you won't get any information that this is the precise number that's in the code. So you'll always have to make deductions, compiling all of the information that you've gathered. And depending on how well you can process the information, connect the facts, and eliminate some things from the equation and deduce some information that you don't possess, that the computer doesn't give you, that's basically the speed at which you'll be able to figure out the code and beat all the other players to it. So there is a very large amount of deduction in a very compressed amount of time and over a very compressed set of rules. And that's another plus of this game, the rule set is oh so simple. The rule book in the box is like 8 pages long, and those 8 pages are also for illustrations and the setup diagram and everything. So basically the rules and the turn and what you can do in the turn, they're straightforward and simple to the minimum. Basically they're like bare bones of a game, right? What you are doing here. But it's enough. It's enough for the game to work and for you to be able to introduce this game to basically anybody. And now I'm coming to another positive thing, because the level of difficulty in this game is very adjustable. You can go for the very easy mode with only 4 verifiers and the simplest ones at that. And this will, for an experienced Turing Machine player, it will take them like 2 turns to guess the correct number probably. But then again, for younger players or for people who are not into deduction games too much, or just like dipping their toes in the water initially right now, this is going to be enough. And then you can go for the higher level of difficulty with 6 complicated verifiers, or even there are 2 modes on the web page available, which is Nightmare and Expert, I believe is the name for the other one. And this is where stuff really gets crazy. So this is definitely the scalability of this game, and the quickness of this game is also a very good thing. So I would risk saying that this is a game for almost anybody who wants to dive into this kind of logical, mathy kind of deductive thinking, right? Without going into a lot of plot and a lot of story behind it. While Search for Planet X had a story behind it, your astronomers looking for the planet, but it still basically went only about looking at the sky and noting where objects are and deducing that this is next to this, so this can't be next to this, and this is that. And the planet has to be here. Here it's even more simplified. You ask questions to a computer, the computer says yes or no, and that's it. And then you, okay, so if this is no and this is yes and this is yes and this is no, then this has to be true and this is true for this. And that's it, right? So basically there is a kind of a story here. It's not a totally abstract game, let's say. There is some kind of an environment in which you are and you know how it works, but it's very minuscule, but still there is, right? One more thing that I will definitely mention, that I want to mention, is the box says somewhere here that the game is for, yeah, here it is, 1 to 4 players, and I believe that because there is a limited amount of those punch cards here. For each number you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 or 9 punch cards for each of the numbers in the code, 1 through 5, right? So if, for example, 4 players around the table want to verify whether the code 111 is correct, somebody will have to wait for punch cards to become available because there won't be enough for everybody at the same time. So you will have to take turns in availabilities at some points, maybe. But barring this, you can play this game basically with an unlimited number of players, because everybody, if everybody's able to see the board, if everybody is able to take notes, and if everybody at some point is able to create their code with the punch cards and ask the questions, then sky's the limit to the number of players. You can play it with 5, you can play it with 10. This 1 to 4 limit is a bit fictional, I think. You can make it work with more players, definitely, and that's also a plus. It's flexible. So you can, if you have a crowd, I don't believe that there will ever be a party at which people will say at some point, boy, after those free drinks, we would definitely right now want to break our brains on some logical conundrum. And do you have anything like that? I don't believe that this is going to be a scenario possible ever, but maybe if there is a 0.001% of a chance that this happens and you've got 10 people saying that at a party, then you just whip up a box of Turing Machine and you go, there you go, right? And here we are. So this is what I have to say about the positive things about this game. And now let's talk about the not so good, and from the enthusiasm that I'm kind of emanating here in this video talking about Turing Machine, you might think that there won't be too many negative things or the not so good category things that I will say about this game, and you're probably right. So first, sometimes the amount of punch cards, like I mentioned before in the positives with the number of players, sometimes the amount of punch cards is like, there could be one more, but that's like a very, very tiny complaint. To be honest, the biggest complaint that I have to this game right now is that once you figure out how this puzzle is solvable, so what questions and at which time to ask in order to get the most beneficial information, then the routine starts kicking in. After 20 or 30 plays in at different levels of difficulty, it's kind of like you look at the verifiers and you know which ones do you want to start resolving first, and what questions do you want to ask and what codes do you want to compile first in order to be the most efficient at it. So one might say that it kind of gets a bit repetitive with time, but then again, that's part of the puzzle, to be able to figure out what is going to be the best course of action, which questions do I have to ask first in order to get as much information as I can in as few moves as possible. So I don't know if this is really a negative thing, but there is this kind of creeping feeling of repetitiveness after many, many games. But then you up the level of difficulty into nightmare mode and it's a completely different set of problems altogether. You can see that I'm kind of stretching thin to find complaints about this game right now. The second complaint that I would have is that the amount of cards that you have here, those answer cards and those verifier cards, it's prudent to keep them in a numerical order. So when it comes to the teardown, it takes a while to put everything back into their correct place, but then again, it's a very thin argument against the game, really, but it's a bit slow. I have no idea how else could they have designed it, the creators of this game, so really there was no other choice, but still, you know, it takes some time to put everything back into the box in the way that, you know, it's quick to set up, for a later game. Tiny, tiny, tiny negative thing. And the third one, to be honest, I would say, and this is the first time I'm mentioning that as a negative or the not so good thing, the availability of this game. I know I've slept through the premiere of this game, but then I knew about it. I knew that it was coming out, but I thought that it would be like, you know, easily available in a month or two or something like that. And then in a month or two, it turned out that the only place I could order this basically with no crazy costs was the US Amazon. And yeah, they delivered fairly quickly, but then again, it was not available in Europe almost anywhere, and I have no idea whether they're planning to expand on this, but it was very tough. This was one of the toughest games to find from the new titles. I'm not talking about some, you know, unique stuff from 10 years ago that I want to track down. No, from the new titles that came out in 2022, this was surprisingly difficult to get my hands on, but then again, I was very determined. Okay, so to sum up, Turing Machine, a logical game for 1 to an infinite number of players if you are well organized, of guessing codes and asking a computer using punch cards in order to get the correct information, is a great brain burner. I'm not even saying a brain teaser, but a brain burner. It's quick on the setup, it's quick to play, it has oh so many combinations, it's very flexible on the difficulty level, and it gives you a lot of satisfaction once you figure the code out sooner, faster than everybody else. So basically, it's a great game to have if you like logical puzzles, and if you want to give your brain enough exercise that it requires, let's say, to, you know, wake up those brain cells of yours and make the synapses snap and do what synapses usually do, right? So yeah, definitely a recommendation. Watch out for the availability of this game. If you're interested, grab it while it's still there, because the supplies are not unlimited, obviously, but it's still tough to find this game in some places. And well, apart from this, be prepared that after 40, 50, 60 games or something like that, you will feel that you are doing like the same puzzle all the time with a different combination, obviously, and you still have to think logically and connect the dots and deduce and stuff, but you will have a tactic ready. So the more you play, the more upper hand you will have over new players into this game. That's a given. But, well, that's a problem with every game, basically, I think. Not only with this one. So a very, very heartfelt, a very warm recommendation from me, a very big encouragement for this game. It's not a well-known title, I feel. It should be in the world of logical puzzles, definitely. It's a great design and a great idea packed in a small package and in a very quick game. And that's it from me, ladies and gentlemen. My name was Lone Vic. This was Turing Machine, the punch card computer. And, well, I hope that this review helped you in any way to get informed about this game, to maybe help decide whether you need it on your shelf or not. You can check the how to play video on my channel as well, it's there. And, well, if you want to help my channel grow, there's the like button, there's a subscribe button, and the notification bell to ring if you want to be notified about new videos that are coming on my channel regularly. And if you feel like it, there is a link in the description for this video if you want to buy me a cup of coffee. And that's basically it. I'm hoping you're having a great evening, because it's pretty late in the evening that I'm recording this right now. And I hope that you have enough time to play board games and enjoy this common hobby of ours. And see you next time on my channel. Thank you very much for watching and being here with me. Have a great day. Bye bye.